and you're going to think lightning has struck. I actually went out and I transpogged the tune the other day.
No way.
Yeah.
We have to stop the show right now and delve in. Oh my God! Way to bury the lead. Why didn't we start the show with this? Do tell. I want to hear this.
You know me. I don't care what I look like as long as everything's functional.
How did that work out for you when you were dating?
Yeah.
Because I can picture you trying to explain to a woman, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's functional.
You're listening to the Goblin Goldcast with Dex and Mac. I got mouths to feed, so let's get this thing started. Time is money, friend.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Azeroth. You're listening to the Goblin Goldcast, your guide to making gold in World of Warcraft. This is episode 52. I'm your host, Dex, coming to you from Napa, California. With me on Skype is a man who is shocked to learn that his toaster isn't waterproof, my co-host Mac from Anchorage, Alaska. How you doing, Mac?
Well, doing okay. Mrs. Mac aimed for the tub,
You had a little bit of a little help with that test, huh? A little experiment. She was happy to help you out there.
Yeah. I told her the hairdryer was closer, but
Yeah. How was this week?
The week was fine. Had a good time. Mrs. Mac decided to take off. I remembered our anniversary. It was our 21st anniversary. Of course, I was thinking it was the 22nd anniversary.
It only seemed longer then.
Yeah, it just seemed longer. Yeah. So anyway, I remember the anniversary, and I was like, "Oh, honey, what are we doing for our anniversary on Friday?" She goes, "I told you, I'm going fishing." And I was like, "Oh, okay." That happens every once in a while. So she took off and went salmon fishing down the Kasilof River here in Alaska I had to work, so I stayed home.
Yeah, last year on our anniversary, I told my wife, I said, "Happy anniversary, honey. It's been the 10 best years of my life." And she said, "We've been married 13 years." And I said, "Well, yeah, but the last 3, not so much, no."
On our 13th wedding anniversary, I was DJing a wedding. And I walked up to the bride and groom and I was talking. I said, "You guys picked a great day for your anniversary or for your wedding." I said, "It's my 13th anniversary." The bride looks at me and goes, "13th anniversary? Where's your wife?" I said, "She's out fishing." I looked at her husband. I said, "You'll understand in 13 years."
You'll get there, man. You'll get there. Yeah.
So, anyways, I had a good time. Raided again with the Lions Pride Tavern on Friday. I meant to raid with them on Saturday. But Mrs. Mac is out of town, so in this new job I've got, I'm actually working days, so I'm waking up very early in the morning without my alarm clock and with nothing else to do, and Mrs. Mac not here to tell me there's things I should be doing around the house. I started gaming early in the morning on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then I realized it was getting later, and I was kind of tired. It's like, I better set an alarm and take a nap, so I'll be up and ready to do this raid this afternoon. And I set my alarm, took a nap, woke up, looked at my watch and went, "I missed the raid." I'd set it I set my alarm for AM instead of PM, so slept right through the raid.
Well, I have my Alliance Hunter that I'm bringing up. I've got him about halfway to 104, I think, and
there we go.
So I'm going to get there. Unfortunately, I've got a new wrinkle in that. Of course, it's happening. As you're listening to this show, we're going to be going on a little bit of a hiatus. I'm going on a cruise, and so shortly after this gets posted up, I'll probably put it up within a day of when I'm leaving, and it's going to be for 10 days. So
he couldn't convince the cruise line to let him podcast from their control center, so
that would not be pretty. So. So Mac and I are actually going to be very close together because my cruise is in Alaska. I won't be seeing him, but we'll be closer together. But there'll be no podcast. So he will keep everyone up to date on social media for my return. And when I get back, we will record a show right away. Mac is actually going to be checking with a few of the interviews that we're trying to get organized. Hopefully that's what we'll be doing when I get back. Hopefully it'll be an interview. That's what the plan is, but we'll see how that goes.
I think too many people are listening in, and they know what to expect now. They're hiding out from us.
People that were returning our calls before and not so much now. And I have to give a shout out to Fafford. Last week's podcast was some of the most fun that I've ever had in the podcast, and after more than a year of doing this, I think we all just we laughed an awful lot, had a lot of fun with it. Now, if you've heard the podcast, you don't know how much we were laughing, because trust me, a lot of the laughter had to hit the cutting room floor, or it would have been really long. And there were a few retakes, shall we say, that were necessary when we just started having a little bit too much fun. But yeah, it was a blast to make, and I knew after we finished that there was no way I was going to be able to edit it down under an hour. Even considered at one point making it a two-parter, but just did the best I could and tried to get it down to a reasonable size. And I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as we did making it.
So we had a lot of fun.
It was great. It was fun. So how did the speaking of Lions Pride Tavern, how did the raid go that you made it to?
We did okay. Got through several of the bosses. There's the last fight we were on Friday. I'm not sure if they made it through Saturday. Like I said, I slept through the raid. But we got stuck on one little boss. There's a little mechanic at the end that every week they kind of switch sides on me. You're on this side this week, and then the next week I'm on the other side.
Is that the one where you get the bombs on you and you have to jump into the hole?
No. That's a different one.
Okay.
There's one side you're in the spirit side, and you're in the other side you're out, and so half the raid's doing one thing, the other half's doing the other. So every time I start learning the mechanic on one side, the following week I get thrown in the other side. And anyways.
Well, they're keeping you on your toes.
Well, yeah.
You know beforehand.
Until I lay down.
You know the raid leaders beforehand are getting together saying, all right, so how can we throw him a curve? How can he's starting to pick up on what we're supposed to do. How are we going to mess him over? How are we going to do this? I mean, maybe I'm projecting. I mean, that's what I would do.
I'm sure you've been in email contact with them.
Well, you know what? It's funny. I listen in on these guys. I listen whenever I can to their podcast, and I've snuck in and listened while the raid was going live a couple of times. And it's funny. I did hear a little bit of chatter the other day where someone was talking about how they've already got I haven't even been on a raid yet with them, and they already have a nickname picked out for me. They were they're calling you Swiffer. They were going to call me was it Dustpan or something like that? Now I don't remember what it was, but they had a nickname for me that was shall we say equally flattering. It was made me feel all warm and fuzzy. Well, at least it made me feel fuzzy because I'm picking up all the trash everywhere as I'm being swept across the floor.
Well, on the plus side, I have got four pieces of my tier set.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's one of the pieces of my tier set I can't wear because I got a legendary in that slot. So now I'm looking for a 5th tier set so I can actually use 4 of the pieces, that or another legendary.
Right. Right.
They just drop like candy. I don't know what your problem is, man.
Yeah, well, it's just it's my hang-up, I guess. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on, but
I brought my shaman. I was trying to get the new shaman mount this week. I'm trying to get the class mounts on all of my tunes.
Right.
And so I got my shaman to level 110. First time he made 110, very first day I went out did the first world quest, I got a legendary, so I was like, okay, it still happens.
Oh. See, that you're killing me with this, man. But I have to say that shaman mount. I remember the first time I saw that, and I commented on the show when I saw it.
Oh, we both talked about it. I think that was our favorite mount.
Oh my God! And I hate playing a shaman.
Yeah, I'm not a good shaman player. My shaman before I did elemental. I suck as elemental shaman, and so this time I finally went over. I tried the healing spec. I'm terrible at the healing spec. I tried the elemental, and I finally just went over and did the enhancement, and allows me to kind of tank. There.
Hey, I got a joke for you.
Oh, okay.
A mage and a shaman walk into a bar. The shaman says to the mage, "Hey, have you seen the new class mounts? They are awesome." And the mage says, "Shut up." Anyway.
The flaming pizza pig. Yeah. I am working on that one on my mage, too.
Yeah. And then the rogue said, "Did somebody order a pizza?" Anyway.
I like that Raven mount for the rogue. I got that, too.
Yeah.
And then it's real fun being able to take those mounts and on my alliance tunes that aren't leveled, are not even 100 yet, but I all have flying. I could still use all those mounts.
Right. So anyway, I haven't played that much this week, but I did manage to level a little bit. I have learned that the way to level is definitely to do those demon invasions. So
there's an invasion going on right where we're podcasting tonight.
Oh, well, we can come back to this podcast. I think we can go do that. No. But yeah, I'm gonna have to hit you up to ferry me around to these demon invasions so I can get through to 110, because when I get back from the cruise, I'm gonna want to hook up with Lion's Pride Tavern and have some fun with you guys out there on a raid.
There we go. Then they can be looking at another one, disappointed, shaking their head. Where do we pick up this guy?
Just ask my wife. Any chance I have to disappoint, I'm right there. But, speaking of which, before we get into I was going to say into the meat of the podcast, but who am I kidding? Before we get into what we decided to discuss this week, I wanted to tell you about a little experience that I had. You were getting ready for this cruise and everything. I think my wife is starting to lose her sense of humor with me.
Already?
Yeah, already. We're like I said, we're getting ready for the cruise. We get some shopping and some things to do. This is the last couple of days before we're going to leave, and so we go clothes shopping. And, like most men, let's just say I wasn't into it. But so she.
And when I walk in, grab some things off the shelf and walk out.
Right. Men don't want to hang around for that. So anyway, she starts looking for a new purse. So I figure I got about an hour or so to kill, right? So I find a bench, and I kind of plant myself on this bench, and I start reading, some random that I found on Reddit, right? And about an hour later, she finds me, and she can't wait to show me this new purse that she bought, which, let's be honest, I'm a man, and to me it looks exactly like her old purse. I have no idea what's so great about it.
It's a bag and holds stuff, right?
I have no idea what's so great about the little duck logo on it either. Don't ask me, right? I mean, somebody that's listening knows what that means. Anyway, so after pretending to listen to her ramble on about this purse for what seems like an eternity, I decide, I'm going to share with her some interesting stuff that I learned on Reddit, right? So, it seems that scientists recently discovered that dolphins are much smarter than they were once believed to be. Yeah, in fact, they're second only to man in intelligence. So, still focused on her new purse, she kind of gives me this blank stare that in my experience translates to who gives a shit. And so I asked, aren't you upset about women being bumped to third place? The drive home was really kind of quiet. I think she was giving a lot of thought to our discussion, is where I think where that was.
She was trying to decide where she hid the kitchen knives.
You're going to have to check me on this because I do tend to take things too far sometimes. But now, whenever I ask her something and she responds with, I don't know, I tell her, I bet the dolphin knows. So, yeah, I killed her sense of humor.
I can throw you some fish for the answer. No.
Oh, man. Anyway, so...
she's not a sushi fan, is she? Yeah, I know.
As I have said before, my wife doesn't listen. So, and you guys thought I meant the podcast. I just meant in general. She doesn't listen.
Well, we take turns doing that, not listening to each other, you know. That great communication skill, it keeps us married.
Well, now that
to each other.
Now that I've pissed off 50% of our listeners, it's just jokes. So the first thing I wanted to cover is mining, and I know we did talk about this in a previous podcast where we were going over all of the different professions and making gold with them. But I did want to emphasize a little bit on this. I have noticed lately in the auction house, and it's different from realm to realm. There always seems to be at least one ore that's in demand that no one has for sale. And it's going to be different from realm to realm. But if you're ever in a pinch for gold, you're looking for something and you have a miner, it is something that you can do that's kind of mindless, easy way to farm some gold. And you can, if you're the only game in town, of course, you can inflate things like crazy. But if you check the auction house and you see what's not there, or what is in just such short supply, it might as well not be there. Just go out and mine the hell out of that and set your prices. And a lot of times it makes sense to put it in bars and put it in the proper stacks of the right number of bars, and that's going to depend on what you're selling. And there are times, however, where ore is the better choice. And if you're selling something that is an ore that people are going to want to prospect, for instance, put that ore in stacks of 5, make it real convenient. You can do that, or you can do something that's in multiples of 5, of course. But you make it easy for the people who are using it in that way, or if they're using bars to make something. Same thing. Make your stacks very convenient, very expensive, and the only game in town, and you'll always have a smile on your face. That's just my take on that.
Before we get into this, you told your story.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell my story now.
Okay.
The days of a free ride are over. No. Earlier this week, I was in the auction house. I usually, I use my mage, teleport into Orgrimmar, hit the auction house, teleport back to Dalaran, and go do my daily stuff. And some guy was just shouting in trade chat, "Hey, looking for or paying 500 gold for a teleport to Dalaran." And it's like, I'm going there anyway. I'll take him with me. I sent him a tell, said, "Hey, I'll whisper, hey, you want to go to Dalaran? I'll give you a lift, no charge."
Right.
Hey, no problem. I group up with him, meet him, teleport him to Dalaran, and he goes, "So no charge?" I said, No charge. I got plenty of gold." He goes, "We got plenty of gold. I need a new subscription this month. Can you give me some?" It's like, no. I was going the same direction you were. I was offering. So he started bugging me nonstop. That's the first time I've ever had to put somebody on ignore for refusing to take the gold that they wanted to give me. So I
see, now that's, and you do know where you made your mistake, right?
I didn't take the gold.
I think we have
taken
learned.
The gold and shut up.
I think we've learned that you take the gold.
Try to be a nice person.
No, see, it's not show friends, it's show business, man. I'm telling you.
It was just funny. It's like I didn't name a number, but all of a sudden he thinks I'm going to give him enough gold for for a token. And enough to bug me long enough that I don't ignore half the trolls in trade chat.
See,
but anyways,
this is a case where World of Warcraft needs to take a page from old EverQuest, and that's when you give somebody like $1 million in copper.
Copper, yeah.
And because for those of you that don't know, in EverQuest,
back in the day,
not anymore. They've since fixed it, but it was this way for years. Coin has weight, and pennies weigh just as much as dollars do. So, so what you would do is you would give somebody a large amount of currency, all in the copper coins, and they couldn't move. They were weighted down, and they had to destroy coin until they were light enough to move. And you just see, you watch how greedy they were. They would get to where they could just barely move, and they would inch their way towards the bank, to deposit. And it's just hilarious watching all of these people walk in slow motion to the bank to get rid of all the copper that somebody dumped on them because they begged them for some, for. Well,
and back in the day when they would throw the copper on the ground, you could watch them throwing it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they made it so you had to destroy it. So yeah. Anyway, so they need something like that. But yeah,
I've been there, done that. So
telling somebody that you have plenty of gold is setting yourself up. Okay.
I don't need it. Just hey, it's like, oh, you can give it to me. It's like you were just offering 500 gold for a teleport.
Oh, I don't need the gold. I'm rich. Oh, really?
I didn't tell him I won the. I didn't tell him I won the lottery. Yeah.
Well, we were talking about mining, and you and I before the show we were talking specifically about a particular ore that I know you have a history of making quite a bit of gold with. If you'd like to take it from there.
Oh yeah, again, going back old school. You can try to mine some of the new stuff, and again, you're competing with a bunch of people. There's less people doing some of the old stuff. This is back in going out to Negrand in the holy moly Outlands.
In the Burning Crusade, yeah.
In the Burning Crusades, and corium ore. It's a rare ore. Mm-hmm. It spawns in the same nodes that adamantite spawns in.
Right.
And adamantite, again, cheaper ore. You're not going to make a lot. You can sell it in the auction house, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Probably better off prospecting it in some cases.
Yes.
Who knows?
But anyways, if you go out and do a round robin in the Grand, and there's little caves that the adamantite spawns in, and again, if you don't see the corium up, mine the adamantite, and eventually you'll get those little mines will spawn the corium ore.
Right.
And corium, depending on the server, I know on Dalaran, and Dalaran isn't one of the higher end ones, but the ore goes for like 195 gold each.
Right.
And the corium bars, which is two ores, goes for 550 a bar, right. And that's the cheap end.
Yeah.
You could actually go in the auction house and buy a bunch of the ore, turn it into the bars, and still make a profit.
Yeah.
But
and you know what you mentioned about Dalaran. When you told me that, I was curious, and I checked Whisperwind and Demon Soul. Now, Whisperwind I only checked bars. Whisperwind corium bars were 850 gold, and keep in mind,
right.
Very, very low supply of these. I think Whisperwind had like 5 of them for sale, is all, And so you're not finding a lot of it. You're not going to have, if you put them on the market, you're not going to have a bunch of competition. But 850 gold each on the bars. And then for giggles, I checked Demon Soul, which is a PvP realm. So there is a complication if you are... let's just say if you're PvP deficient, like Mac.
Like me, yeah. And Fafford, as we found out.
Right, right. On Demon Soul, it was 1,500 gold per bar. Now, I don't know that anybody's selling them for that, but if somebody's making something that they're going to make a lot of gold off of, and they feel like that, well, I can either pay this price or get my miner out and go try to find it, and I mean, they have to think about their time and all of that. Usually, if you see something consistently at a high price like that, they're selling it.
Right.
They're selling it, because if they weren't, somebody would have undercut them by then, I think. But at any rate, that's huge. And other ores aren't going to be like corium. Corium is kind of a special case for the most part. But again, you're not going to get as much corium as you are the other ores. But anyway,
you can still make a really decent amount of gold. Even if you only getting a few bars, every lap or so.
Right. Now some of the dungeons too. Some of the dungeons you can go into will have they'll have nodes inside them, where it's usually adamantite, but you can go in on those, and if you're kind of farming around and you're not using instances, you can do 10 instances an hour to where you pop in, check and see if the nodes are corium. If they're not, zone out, reset, zone in, back and forth. And so you can check these dungeons that have those nodes in them, and you might be able to generate it pretty quickly. In that way, you are going to be limited on being able to do that 10 times an hour, however.
Right.
Make sure you're not doing that right before raid night, or you might not be able to participate.
Get back into the raid, yeah.
Right. So next thing on my list that I wanted to talk to, and I want to send out a shout out to Organic Gaming for reminding me of this camp. He recently did a YouTube video that reminded me of this, and I was like, oh yeah. This particular camp is in my favorite expansion for farming in, and that's Cataclysm.
Right.
You go to Oldham, and you can take the portal from your capital city, and go to Oldham, and then you can fly up to Vortex Pinnacle. Make sure you set it to heroic if you want to be able to get extra loot, and you have access to the potions of treasure finding. That can pay some dividends there. But what you want to do is you want to zone in and pull the mobs up to the first boss and slaughter them, loot everything. What you're mainly looking for is volatile air, but you get transmog stuff, and you get stuff that can be disenchanted and so forth. So you're going to get other loot. I highly recommend, as with any camp like this that you're doing, make sure that you have your trade skill master and your undermine journal when you go in, so you can see what the value of these items are that you're getting. And
Trade Skill Master has that nice thing because it'll show you what the disenchant value is of the stuff too.
Absolutely, and that's what I mean. I mean, you go in and you can know exactly what you're dealing with. The main item that you're going after, though, is volatile air. And the reason why you want the volatile air, why it's selling so much right now, it's selling pretty good right now, is that it's being used for an enchant, and transmog enchant. And so, that's going to sell pretty well in the auction house. And it's going to be different from realm to realm, so you want to check your realm, of course. And for each run, you should be able to get about 15 or so per run. And as you know, you're only going to be able to do 10 runs per hour, but each run's going to take you, like 2 minutes, maybe?
Right.
So you're getting 15 of those in 2 minutes. If you're running your potion of treasure finding, that's going to be a huge bonus, what you're getting with that. So you go in, you make your run, zone back out, reset, rinse and repeat, And then when you've done your 10 runs, if you're running a treasure potion finding, make sure that you camp out to save that potion and go on a different tune until, your hour's up.
Level your Alliance Hunter,
Yeah, whatever. Whatever. So I did check some prices, and on Dalaran, Volatile Air was about 20 gold each, and on Demon Soul it was similar to that. However, on Whisperwind, it was in excess of 60 gold each. And so definitely check your realm, and because there's going to be some variation there.
There's just some really, really good gold for some old content that you can just whip through really quickly.
Oh yeah, and this is, honestly, this is one of many camps. We've talked a great deal about the Ember Silk camp. That is the same sort of thing, same sort of deal. I feel like that is still a better camp. Obviously, I think the Ember Silk bags are always going to be kind of a better deal on that than this. But if you're bored, you want to do something different, you just want to try something different, or if Volatile Air is just if the price is just nuts on your realm, then this would be something to play around with.
Yeah, rather than fighting against everybody that's in the current expansion, doing all the new stuff where the prices, where everyone's having the price war in the auction house, when there's less people in the old school stuff, basically you got less competition. You can make your own market. So there's decent gold there.
Yeah, and that brings us to actually the last one that I have on my list, and I don't talk about it a lot because it's not a big part of how I make gold anymore. But that doesn't mean it's not huge, and that's transmog. I have made a lot of gold with transmog in the past, and I'm sure I will again in the future. And I know people who make a ton with transmog. There are people that do nothing but transmog.
And you're going to think lightning has struck. I actually went out and I transmogged the tune the other day.
No way.
Yeah.
We have to stop the show right now and delve into. Oh my God! Way to bury the lead. Why didn't we start the show with this? Do tell. I want to hear this.
You know me. I don't care what I look like as long as everything's functional.
How did that work out for you when you were dating?
Yeah.
Because I can picture you trying to explain to a woman, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's functional. I
got some gear some decent gear on some of my tunes, and the tune popped up on the screen. I said, that is the stupidest thing I've ever. I cannot run around looking like that. It's like, and then in the back of my mind, it's like, who in the hell's that guy talking? It was mainly just a stupid looking helm, and it just, it looked like half. Anyways. It
with
was,
a helm, you just choose to not show your helm, right?
Well, it just looks stupid.
Right.
So then anyway, so I threw I transmogged the helm, and then it was like, that was easy, and it wasn't that expensive.
Right. No, it's not.
And it was like, well, there's a chest piece that matches. And then I was like, it did like 3 or 4 pieces that was like, Dex is never going to let me
and you didn't tell me until just now. I'm loving that, man. I'm loving that.
I don't know why I told you in the middle of the show, but yeah. So
I think you might have misunderstood when you said it wasn't expensive to do the transmog. I think you might have misunderstood when I talked about how expensive transmog is. It's expensive to go hunt down those hard to find pieces.
Yeah. I was just talking about the stuff I had. Right. I just wanted to have a different look for this one piece, and then I was like, that was easy.
But
and then
using what you already have is a gateway drug for this, man. I'm telling you, you know what you'll do? You'd be like, oh yeah, I want to make a nice all black costume, and I've got no black pants. Where can I find these? Somebody's selling one in the auction house, only $15,000. I got to buy those. And that's how it starts.
Plenty of brown stained pants.
That's how it starts, man. I'm telling you.
There's
a reason why there's gold in this.
Yes, yeah. I did do. Well, I didn't buy anything. I used stuff that I had. But
I'm not sure I can even go on with this camp now. I'm so stunned that you're doing this.
We've talked about this was back before we even did this podcast back on our old YouTube channel, where I talked about I don't care what it looks like as long as it does the job.
Right.
And this is, I mean, that was
again. I can make a dating comment, and I won't. It's been your philosophy for a long time, but I'm thinking, what does this world come to? You're doing transmog, and I'm playing an alliance.
I look fabulous.
I'm playing an alliance character, and you're doing transmog. There's something.
Cats and dogs living in harmony.
There's something very non-masculine about both of those things that I just can't get past. I mean, mine's even a night elf, so I mean, is there any hope? I'm playing a night elf hunter, and you're doing pink transmog. What in the world of Warcraft is going on here?
I didn't. Yeah, it's gold, but anyway.
So. Wow! So before that stunner, I was about to talk about
I just thought I would knock your socks off there.
Now I have to transmog new ones. So, like I was starting to say, farming transmog. What you really want to go after is the vanilla and the Burning Crusade stuff from the dungeons. You can, or not just dungeons. You can go after just regular mobs and go after it, of course. But I mean, there are some of these dungeons like, and I meant to check it out and just see what kind of transmog I could get from it. But back in the day, I do Sunken Temple a lot when I would do power leveling.
Oh yeah.
And I love Sunken Temple because you've got this central hub, and you just go into all the different rooms and you can wipe it out and nothing flat.
The new Sunken Temple, not the old Sunken Temple.
What do you mean, not the old Sunken Temple?
Oh, the original Sunken Temple had all those levels. It sucked. The new one, since they made the change where it's just a quick round robin, is much easier.
Wait a minute, they changed that in Cataclysm? Is that what you mean?
Sunken Temple got changed. The original Sunken Temple, you would go in there and there was these levels, you'd get separated from your party. It sucked.
Really? Because I never went in it when it was like that. How long ago was that?
It was a while back, I remember.
Must have been a long time ago.
It's like it was like the old it's still not that black.
I never did it when it was current content. Because I wasn't playing when it was current content.
Well, even when the Burning Crusade was out, it was still when that first came out. There was still the old Sunken Temple. The new Sunken Temple is easy. You just zip around the circle and you're out.
Oh yeah.
But there were different levels. It was real easy to get lost. Well, the new Sunken Temple is just zip, zip, zip.
Well, to reiterate though, if you're going after transmog, it's really important to know what you've got. You can make a big mistake if you're not careful, and that's why Undermine Journal, Trade Skill Master, this is very important to have these add-ons when you go in and you're farming these. Otherwise, you just got to keep everything. And
the other shocker of the day is I've started using Trade Skill Master a lot more.
Well, and I always knew you'd do that. I know how daunting it can look. I remember the first time I looked at it, and I went, "Oh yeah, that's going to be fun to learn." Yeah. It's just one of those
calculus.
things.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. It's well, yeah. I mean, you look at it and you think, well, I'm never going to get this, and it's because you're looking at the whole thing. You're not looking at one small part of it and learning one small part of it. But I always knew you would eventually do that you would say, all right, I need to know this. And then you focus in, a little bit sharper on what you want to do. And that's what I did. I focused on what I wanted, and then I found something else I wanted, and I focused on that. And then before I knew it, I was utilizing a good bit of it. But yeah, when you're doing these farms, and if you've got Trade Skill Master and Undermine Journal running, so that you can tell what you've got, you're going to know when you've got garbage that isn't going to be worth anything. And you're also, going to have, items that are non-tradable, of course, that are going to drop that you're going to need to deal with from the bosses as well. And so what I recommend, especially if you're going through an old dungeon that has humanoid mobs, you want to try to do it with your tailor / enchanter. So ideally for a lot, if you want the most ideal situation, in my opinion, for a lot of these camps, if you've got an arcane mage that's a tailor and enchanter, you can just, if you want to just mindlessly go through and just spam arcane explosion and just, you basically sneeze and these mobs fall over dead.
Right.
This is from a long time ago. And so you can just run through and you can disenchant. You can disenchant the stuff that is going to be worthless otherwise. And a lot of times those enchanting mats are worth a whole lot more than the items are. And it'll tell you that too. So Trade Skill Master is going to tell you the disenchant value. It's going to tell you, and
it's not always 100% accurate, but it's real close.
No, but it'll give you an idea. If the disenchant value is almost the same as the vendor value, vendor it. Obviously, vendor it. But if there is a huge difference, if you see that it's the item itself is selling on the auction house for, $5,000, sells to a vendor for 12 silver, and disenchants to a value of 6 gold, you know what to do with it. It's gonna show you all of that, and you're going to be able to pick door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3.
Yeah, and even if you don't use any of the other functions of Trade Skill Master, just the being able to look at that one little thing of, wow, the disenchant value is this, the vendor value is this, and and then the current price is this in the auction house. That's a fantastic feature if you don't use any of the other features for that.
And remember, you don't have to actually learn anything to use that feature, because you just mouse over the item and it tells you all of that. It gives it to you in a great big window. And once you see that information window and how it changes when you have those add-ons on there, let's just say there's a huge difference between that and what happens when you mouse over something with no add-ons. And it's like somebody opens up a whole new world to you for knowing what something's worth. And you'll get a surprise or two. Eventually, you'll loot something, and your gut feeling will be, okay, that's vendor trash. And then you'll mouse over it, and you'll see that it's this super rare thing that you could have made a huge mistake on. And then that's the day that you will fully realize the value of these add-ons, and you'll be glad that you have them. Well, I think that's going to about wrap up this week's episode. I'd like to thank Schaefer Bates for his awesome work as the Goblin voice at the beginning of each show. Also, Kevin MacLeod at Incomputech.com for our theme music, Hot Rock, licensed under Creative Commons.
And if you'd like to get a hold of us, you can contact us at Mac, that's M-A-C, at GoblinGoldcast.com, or Dex, that's D-E-X, at GoblinGoldcast.com. If you can't reach us at our main email, we have an alternate email, matt@goblingoldcast@gmail.com. You can contact us at Twitter, @GoblinGoldcast, or you can visit us on Facebook.
And don't forget to visit the swag store at cafepress.com/GoblinGoldcast. And you can leave us a voicemail on our website, GoblinGoldcast.com. And please subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher if you listen to us there.
And just remember, we're going on hiatus for a couple of weeks, and we'll see you when we're next on.
Now go make some gold.